is important to people as they're going into,
NA, flavor.
Okay.
Period.
So there you go.
Flavor. And that is why you're seeing a lot of change, right? So if we think about who's drinking these things, yes, we have either a sober consumer who's not consuming alcohol, but 94% of the non-alcohol consumer drink alcohol.
Yeah.
So
wait, say that again.
94%, and this is a Nielsen stat, 94% of people who drink non-alcoholic beverages are also drinking alcohol.
Ciao, y'all. I'm Jessica Dupuy, guest host for a special TexSom series covering the 2024 TexSom Wine Conference from Dallas, Texas. Join me in the heart of the Lone Star State as we delve into the experiences and insights of key speakers and attendees, exploring career paths, challenges, and the latest trends in the wine industry. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate our show wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. Well, Beck Hopkins, thank you so much for joining me on the Italian Wine Podcast. We are here at TexSom in Dallas, Texas. Welcome.
Thank you, Jessica. It's awesome to be back.
Yeah. I mean, so this isn't your first TexSom, right? You've been a couple of times before in the history of it all.
Gosh, I think the last time I was here was 2018.
Okay.
When it was still at the Four Seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in quite a different role.
Yeah.
Still in wine communications, but very much, it was a different vibe. So it's awesome to be here at the convention center. Yeah.
It's a different feel. It's a new TexSom, but it's great. It's grown upon itself over the years. Perhaps you could just to make sure everyone who's listening has a clear understanding of who you are, maybe tell us a little bit about your background or journey to wine and what you do now.
Yeah, sure. So I am actually from Australia.
Okay.
And I spent the first half of my career in Australia in various marketing, sales, and communications roles.
Okay.
Before coming to the US in 2007. And I've been here in marketing communications roles and specifically interested in health and well-being since 2018 when I founded a little website called A Balanced Glass, where we think about health and well-being for wine professionals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is what we're going to talk about today, because I think this is a really important topic. In fact, so important that the organizers of TexSom wanted you to come and be part of this panel, which we may have to read because there's a lot of words in the name of the panel.
There's a lot of words. And it was a Monday morning, and it was the opening panel of the opening TexSom conference. So no pressure.
No pressure to get all of the words in there.
Exactly.
All right, so let's do it. You had a seminar on
a changing industry. Okay. And first of all, I want to say enormous kudos to the organizers for going down the path of tackling this topic.
It's
right.
Big. Yeah.
So we really talked about a changing industry as it relates to overall meeting people where they are. So we discussed intersectionality. We talked about accessibility and unconscious bias as it relates to able and disabled people in our profession, health and well-being, which, I spoke about non-alcohol and the rise of that category, and neurodiversity.
Okay, which is
with Jessica War. So really looking at neurotypical and neurodiverse, so how people learn, how people engage, and how you can support your teams or your colleagues if they are neurodiverse, and also normalizing those
that there are different ways, whether audio, visual, or so many. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Okay.
And also mental health. And so Kat Thomas, for anyone who's met Wine Goddess, right?
She's
Kitty
the best.
and it was really getting everyone grounded in their bodies to kind of spend an hour together having a pretty vulnerable discussion about things I've never seen at another wine conference kind of frankness.
Yeah, she's really great. It's so funny. I actually didn't get to sit in on that seminar. I was in a different one, but I did see a picture of her. I was like, oh, Kat's leading. She's doing like a whole, not yoga, but there was a breathing, calming moment where you guys all on stage were closing your eyes.
Yeah, looking really dorky. And it was awesome.
It's awesome. She's massive props to her because she's been a leader in that area. So let's talk about what you brought to the table for this, because I do think, non-alcoholic, so many things, non-alcoholic beverages, whether that's beer, cocktails, wine, that whole trend has been growing quite a bit, particularly in the US. And I wonder if you could kind of talk about how that's come about. Is it related to wellness? Like, what are you seeing kind of in your findings?
Yeah, so on a macro level, we certainly have seen a trend toward well-being on a cultural level, really.
Of course.
It's really been around probably since, mid-50s, so 2015, but it's really obviously exacerbated through COVID. And for bev alcohol, I think, moderation is a big part of this shift, right? So we have technology now that allows us to look at our sleep cycles, what we're eating. We're transparent about what we're drinking, what we're putting in our bodies and on our bodies. And so the concept that people may want an alternative to an alcoholic beverage is part of that discussion. And really, in terms of how big that opportunity is, it's a two-part discussion. One part of it is where non-alcohol sits as part of the total beverage alcohol. And the second part of it is how do we as an industry help ourselves get up to speed so that we can meet consumers where they are when they're coming into our retail stores or our restaurants.
Okay.
So it's a big topic, but
are you seeing like a lean towards any particular category within that topic, whether it's, I mean, we were talking just before we started about how I'm seeing more and more, at least, that bars and restaurants are at least offering like a non-alcoholic cocktail list, 2 or 3 at a minimum, to just show that they are thinking about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So kind of for context, beverage alcohol as a category in the US is about $301 billion.
Wow.
Beer is the majority of that at $156 billion. Spirits comes in at $38 billion, and wine comes in at about $107 billion. So that's total market size.
Okay.
Now, non-alc within that last year was at $740 million. So it's still less than 1%. So it's a really small part of the overall business.
Yeah.
The non-alcohol as a category is not new.
Yeah.
It's been around 40, 50, 60 years.
Right.
And the earliest brands within non-alc were beer, really. And a lot of it was either European or St. Pauli Girl brand.
I was going to say, like people who are pregnant, it's like,
Exactly.
I can't drink, but I can have St. Pauli Girl. I'm like, okay.
Exactly, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
and so we had, traditionally non-alc has been kind of the other category, right? We didn't really talk about it, but as professionals, we had to have it.
Yeah.
We didn't really know where to put it. And also, traditionally, it was lower quality offerings.
Yeah.
And so I think what's happened as we're at this kind of crossroad where the consumer is demanding more transparency, more information. They're happy to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I think this is part of the change we're seeing in non-alc is we have now a customer who wants a good experience and they're happy to invest. And we also have a technology revolution happening in the non-alc production methods that are enabling companies to produce better quality products, right? So the NA beer you have today is probably, a heck of a lot better than the NA beer
it's
you
much
had
better.
10 years
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I've actually, again, pregnancy is not the only reason people are not drinking.
Oh,
And
totally.
we'll talk about that. But I do have a good friend who is having her first child. And she was like, I'm going to use this opportunity. We actually did our WSET diploma together. And she's like, I'm going to use this opportunity to go through every non-alc beer and every non-alc whatever that I can go through, just because, she's like, otherwise I wouldn't force myself to do it.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of interesting. I'm like, you could write a whole article about this, what passed, because the flavor is getting better. And I guess that's the question, what is important to people as they're going into,
NA, flavor.
Okay.
Period.
So there you go.
Flavor. And that is why you're seeing a lot of change, right? So if we think about who's drinking these things, yes, we have either a sober consumer who's not consuming alcohol, but 94% of the non-alcohol consumer drink alcohol.
Yeah.
So
wait, say that again.
94%, and this is a Nielsen stat, 94% of people who drink non-alcoholic beverages are also drinking alcohol.
Okay.
So when we think about the non-drinker, it doesn't mean they don't drink.
Yeah.
It may mean 1 in 3 of their drinks is a non-alcoholic drink.
Right.
It also is sometimes the occasion. Maybe you're not drinking today. Maybe you're not drinking the 10 months of pregnancy. Maybe you're not drinking post-surgery or, financial reasons you're choosing not to drink because you're saving money. Maybe you're having a life change. So there's lots of different reasons why people are not having that occasion of drinking.
Right.
So again, flavor is still the number one reason that people look for in a non-alcoholic offering.
Right.
And so part of what we also see is the development of call it spirits, but the RTD, the mocktail category is because building drinks in the non-alcoholic space is, quote, a little easier.
Absolutely.
Than de-alking what might be a traditional product.
Right. Yeah. And that's true. I mean, I've seen a lot of, especially the more premium restaurants and bars, they're like, we're not going to leave money on the table by just offering, cranberry and soda.
Yeah.
We have chefs here. We're a chef-based restaurant. Why can't we treat our bar menu in the same way and build something, which some of the spiritless, non-alcoholic, I don't know what you'd call it, spiritless, alcohol. I don't know. Brands that are out there. So like, yeah. Well, no, I just mean like there are, whether it's non-alcoholic tequila, non-alcoholic bourbon or whiskey, that kind of thing. Obviously not bourbon. But those are there and built and made with certain textures and things that allow you to add the flavors. Because that's part of it too. The struggle with cocktails being that alcohol itself adds viscosity and texture in a way that when you're building something into a glass that doesn't have that. Yeah. So there's definitely a way that you're seeing a lot of answers there, but it is, and beer too. Yeah. But I do think wine has kind of been the challenge, the big question mark, because there are a lot of non-alcoholic wines out there.
There are. I mean, there are 80 odd brands globally of non-alcoholic wine. In the US, we have about 30 currently that are in distribution. In fact, I tasted a new one yesterday from Broadbent Selections.
Oh, yes.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that one is actually one of the first where I was like, oh, I think we can do this. But I've also tasted many that I'm like, what is this?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And that, I think, going back to your question, it's that flavor profile and understanding that this is not a replacement for an existing product type.
Got it. Yeah.
So part of this discussion is about the social cues for the consumer of holding the glass, having something in their glass that looks, feels, sounds like an alcoholic beverage that they may want to have, within a group without them feeling like the other.
Yeah. Well, because in the end, most of what we're discussing at a place like TexSom is that hospitality is key. Correct. And so when you can make someone feel like, people that aren't drinking also want to feel like they've got something cool, like whether it's a really great new dish that a restaurant is serving or something that looks really great in a glass.
Yeah.
And so catering to that not only means that you're being hospitable, but as you and I said earlier, it also means you're not leaving money on the table.
100%. I mean, going back to your comment about the new product, there's Copenhagen Sparkling Tea Company. Is an awesome brand. It's what's considered a proxy.
So within, What's
so within wine, so non-alcoholic wine as a category, you have traditional brands that make a non-alcoholic version. Right. So that would be Gießen Sauvignon Blanc, make a 0.0. Then you have new market entrants that are brand new brands that are making non-alcoholic options out of grapes, right? So Cali is a Verjus. It's a non-alcoholic Verjus. And it's awesome. Sonoma County grown.
Love it.
They're just in harvest this week.
Okay.
The wines are terrific.
Yeah.
Then you have proxies. And proxies of wine are not meant to be a wine-based product, but they are a flavor build. I call them a flavor build based to create flavors like wine. So you have blackberries, cherries, coffee, yuzu. And what you're doing is you're building a flavor profile that has a weight, a texture, and, some viscosity that would be like presenting like a wine.
Okay.
So Copenhagen Tea Company was two sommeliers in Copenhagen who were doing post-dinner service and serving tea and finding that their customer in fine dining wanted complexity, flavor. So if you see that package, it's actually, the package looks, sounds and smells like a sparkling wine bottle.
Okay.
It's packaged like that.
Yeah.
It pours, they now do a low out, but they do a 0 out, and it's on the flavors of tea, right? So there's a silver needle tea base. There's a Yunnan tea base. And so the idea being that you're getting, if we think about the crossover between wine and tea,
which is so great because, that's where you can find tannin.
Correct.
And that texture.
Correct.
And
And they were interviewed last year about why they developed it. And they said, we have people coming into the restaurant at lunchtime that don't drink.
Yes.
So they're either going to have a €1 glass of water, or I could sell them a €12 glass of sparkling tea. So
this is
just one example.
Do you see this I'm sorry, I'm like selfishly, is this in Texas?
I think so. Yeah, wow.
I really want to try that.
So here's the beautiful thing about this non-alcohol category. It doesn't have liquor licensing laws. So direct to consumer is a totally open channel for this category. So I've bought mine from Dry Goods Beverage Company out of Napa.
Yep.
It's an ex-wine maker, Jake, and his wife's name's escaping me, but she's a cocktail writer. He's a winemaker. And they started Dry Goods 4 years ago.
Okay.
But you can ship across state lines. You don't need a signature, right? So you can drop it at the door.
Not a big deal.
So you'll see a lot of development in this category of subscription models.
Okay.
So if you think of how we are buying.
Yeah. I subscribe for coffee, all of that. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to do this.
So clubs and mixed selections. And the other thing to know about this category is a lot of them are globally sourced. And they're not vintage. So when we as wine professionals think about what we look for as markers, right? they don't exist in this category. So there's a lot more creative freedom.
Yeah.
And, there's just a lot more, dare say, innovation in making things that taste good.
So what do you think are the barriers to entry coming into the market? And what I mean by that is, are we having to convince consumers to try these things? Are we having to convince the gatekeepers to carry these things so that they can sell them to consumers? Like, is there a resistance to wanting to give these products a try?
I think it's a combination of all three in different ways, depending on the outlet. So as example, yesterday I sat down next to a gentleman from HEB and we got into this discussion and he's like, oh yeah, no, we love non-alc as a category. We have it in our high-end, I think it's called World Market here.
Oh, Central Market. So HEB being a large grocery store chain in Texas only, but a beloved one by Texans. So Central Market is kind of their offshoot where it's more not high end, but like foodie driven. If you're a chef or a home cook that wants special ingredients, Central Market is the place you would go.
Right. So that makes sense then, because he was saying that they went hard on product offering.
Yes.
And basically for their consumer, they're like, trust us. You trust us with everything else in the store.
100%.
Trust us. This is going to be great. So part of his barrier was less about leadership. And I think leadership is still part of our biggest barrier.
Okay.
Industry leadership, right?
Yes.
Either we don't want to make it, it's not our core business, or why would we do that? Because then we sell less of what we make, right? So that's a philosophical resistance.
But we're going to talk about that in a second.
Oh, we can,
I'm like,
right?
Pin in that
because, and then he was saying is he has all that access. His was more about, where do I find this stuff? What distributors are carrying it? Can I get a consistency of supply? And because it's still a relatively nascent space.
Right.
So put your other hat on. If you're a small non-alc producer and you're trying to grow quickly and service these markets, yes, of course, you can produce product quickly, but you probably have a limited infrastructure of what you're able to push out.
No kidding.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're still navigating who are the distributors in the markets, that whether it's a food distributor, an alcohol distributor, an independent distributor.
Right.
So there's a lot of blocks that way.
Yeah.
And then you have a customer who really doesn't know.
Right.
For the most part. And so they're looking to experts to tell them this is great, that's not. So you've actually seen a lot of that influence happening through social media channels.
Right.
Because in this category, there's no limit on advertising. There's no limit on social media. So as a brand, you can pay an influencer to talk about your product.
Okay. So, journalist cap though, because I will say I've been resistance, not the right word in terms of like poor frame of mind, but I refuse to consider myself an influencer, but I am a journalist and I cover things, right? And I won't get paid for it. So I don't want to get paid for it. So, I mean, I want to get paid by my editor. I don't want to be an influencer in the sense that please no companies come to me and ask me to do it. But my point is I do get sent certain samples to try to, taste and try. And I definitely will taste it. And most of the things I've tasted just haven't blown me away to where I'm like, I'm willing to choose that over a classic Coca-Cola, right? So if I'm going to drink non-alc, which I do all the time, what is the thing I'm going to reach for first? And in Texas, it's Dr. Pepper if I want soda. I mean, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
totally.
So with that in mind, I think that's a really good question, because I feel like if I were to do a story on non-alc, I need a frame of reference.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so because I've got a frame of reference. There's a global history and heritage behind it. Same with wine, same with beer, all of that stuff. And so there is that kind of, that's where I often come up dry, as I'm like, I need, at least in my brain, I'm telling myself, I need some sort of frame of reference to be able to.
I think the closest that they're getting to this is the sparkling and the aromatic wine categories.
Okay.
So if you think about, in terms of product quality and that context discussion, because that is where you will see probably the most successful technological advancement.
Okay.
I find it still hard to recommend a red wine that's non-alcoholic at this point.
Yep.
Or a heavier weight white wine. I mean, there's the occasional Shannon that might come through, but nothing that I say, oh my goodness, even if I'm not drinking it, I can't recommend that to someone. And that's changing so quickly. I mean, you might get samples in 2 weeks that have someone's been working
it's
on,
a matter
right?
of time. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it is I think that's why this category is challenging for those of us who's come through traditionally learning about wine or through a structured education system, it doesn't hit the markers that we might have learned.
Right.
And so part of, I think, our responsibility is to learn about the production methods, learn about the brands that are out there, understand the cues of what make quality flavor, and make decisions based on what's best for our customer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
sure.
we may not like it,
okay.
but, we may have a customer that's
willing
to pay.
So let's go back to this idea of like, we're choosing not to produce it because it means that people will buy that instead of our other alcoholic products. What's wrong with that argument?
I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that argument at all. In fact, I did a story on non-alcoholics in tasting rooms.
Okay.
And part of my position on it is you don't have to make it. You have to be aware of the category. You have to provide what I call radical hospitality,
right? Which
is about your job. If you want repeat customer loyalty that love your brand, then you need to serve them. Now, if serving them is the greatest sparkling water you've ever given them with a fabulous garnish, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a partner NA brand that you love, maybe you partner with them on something. So this isn't about telling everyone to go and buying spinning cone machines.
No. And that's what I mean. Yeah. I didn't mean to lead the witness there, but what I did mean is, it's either you cater to something by offering just a little something, or you lose the customer altogether.
Correct.
So that's what I feel like is the gap that's not being closed.
Correct.
In that understanding.
Yeah. And part of that gap is our lack of understanding about the category.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're not taught this in our traditional wine educations. There's also, we only have so much, we have budgets to hit and cogs to manage. And these products are not cheap. And that's the other thing. So we have to get creative in how we weave it into programming.
Yeah.
And also testing and getting customer feedback. And I think this again is something that we need to get better at is how is it?
Yes.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Do you not?
Yeah.
Because we can only learn from our own customers.
Right.
Because in wine we are, we've studied, we have the qualifications, but this is quite a different category.
And you think about it, wine, we study it, we get qualifications, not just to know about it because we're passionate about it, but to also give us confidence in it.
Absolutely.
Yep. And that's the part where not understanding a frame of reference for it also gives us a lack of confidence.
Yeah. And there's a couple of data points. I mean, it was IWSR, who International Wine and Spirits Research Company, and part of used to be Wine Intelligence, have a stat that 1 in 7 diners in a restaurant drinks non-alcoholic. 1 in 4 diners under the age of 25 drink non-alcoholic. Right. So that skews slightly, obviously, because LDA in the US is 21.
Different. Yeah.
But what it's telling you is you put that combined with the overall data around younger drinkers either abstaining or switching between no alc, low alc, and alc. We have a customer to meet that honestly they are maybe so early in their wine journey they don't know. They don't have a frame of reference about what great Tuscan Sangiovese tastes like.
Right.
They just know.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to know what this is.
I should know that this is great. Or
correct.
Someone's told me. Yeah. How very interesting. I'm curious, do you see, I know you're not like a fortune teller, but
that was my other life.
I know, right? How would you, forecast where things are going? Are you able to see change based on these numbers that you've had? Or?
Yeah, look, I wish I was. I think I could place some really good bets. I think this space is changing so quickly. And certainly it's not a binary discussion.
Yeah.
So I think the more that we can step into this space, the more this space will accelerate as comfortable as we are as an industry to help it grow. I think one of the beautiful things about wine is ultimately we're a cultural product and moderation and the cultural aspects of kind of being together are important. So the social cues enables wine to bring this category in a little easier than, say, the spirits category.
Right.
I would say.
Right. Yeah.
Biggest challenge, sugar is still a problem in this category.
For sure. That's actually been one of the biggest problems I've had in some of the samples I've tasted.
Correct.
Yeah.
So sugar is still something. And I think that until they can solve the flavor argument position around, getting consistent and complete flavor profiles.
Yeah.
And managing sugar and also distribution. To me, they're the three. I think adoption is going to come.
Yeah.
So there's a prediction from Nielsen that it'll be 7% by 2027. I think that's ambitious.
Yeah.
But what gives me interest is there's a lot of entrepreneurial companies outside of wine that are coming into this space.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me there's money in it.
Right. Which is a really good reason to kind of say it's not something to be afraid of.
Absolutely not.
Which I think part of the initial resistance, maybe some of that,
sure.
Like, what do you mean? This means we're going to have to change or do things, again, not asking wine producers to all of a sudden not be wine producers anymore, but offering, the opportunity for people to feel like they can come in. This is definitely more in that tasting room scenario, but they can come and enjoy a space with others and have an experience without having to.
And there's also, if we're talking about Italy, there are certain Italian regions that can do non-alc. Like Mianeto have a non-alc Prosecco, Prima Pave, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about saying, well, you used to make Barolo and now you're going to make a non-alc. It's not about that. It's about trying to relabel the, wine. It's about saying the beauty about the American consumer is we have an endless love affair with Italy. Mm-hmm. So we're always going to want to go and travel or experience or bring back. So this is just about, expanding that experience, I think, for people.
Finding ways to do that. And if nothing else, creativity is a strong point.
Big time.
So,
Big time.
Well, Beck, thank you so much for joining us for this. I have really enjoyed this conversation and have actually learned quite a bit. And it's kind of making me rethink some of the ways I've approached this. So, you've already made a difference in this world. But, if people want to find out more about you and what you're doing with The Balanced Glass, like how can they be in touch with you or look?
Just all my socials are at A Balanced Glass or Rebecca Hopkins Wine. Okay. You'll get me on both. And I'm actually going to write up all of my notes from this session and put it out for people as a primer.
Fantastic.
Because, again, it's going to be wrong in 6 weeks, but that's okay.
No, but that's okay. It's something to kind of move toward. Again, if there is a reference point, these are the things that need to start creating those reference points. Exactly. So I think it's a great thing. Well, thank you again for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Bye.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.